joke, I'll be sitting at the dinner table and you'll turn to me and say like a whole sentence in German, and I'm like, yeah, Fanny, that's so cool.
That's different because I was in the middle of like talking. My brain was still in the middle of German. It forgot to switch. I just can't switch on command without getting embarrassed.
It got to the point where I don't even say anything anymore. I just like shake my head violently and hope you just don't ask any questions and fuck off. I'm sorry. Like while in the restaurant with your parents, and you just turn to me and you're like speaking gibberish, and I'm like, yeah, I'm here now. Okay, let's just get into this. You can cry later about it.
Come here, little fella. I want to tell you a secret. I'm just like you.
He is?
Yeah.
We're both down here in the dirt. Mine just happens to be imported. You are fighting in traffic, and I am fighting charges of trafficking. We're so similar. You're working a 9-to-5 job,
Fucking rich
and I
people.
am having to look at that. We're both going through it. So don't hate me. I'm
yeah,
not the problem.
sure,
It's the
buddy.
wine snobs. They're the ones that look down on you. And
I've never had wine
I
before.
don't blame them.
I had once,
No.
and
he's
it was a
winning.
dry one. It was terrible.
Listen, let me
A
pull
dry-
you up
what?
by your bootstraps.
There are different types of wine, and I think he will go through them here.
How does
What?
how can you make wine dry? Is it wine always red?
No, it's just like it tastes dry. It dries out your mouth a little.
Okay.
When I had a sip of a sweet wine, that hit it hard. And one
What
that's
if I made
almost tasted like grape juice.
To my little Pygmalion. That's a reference that you wouldn't get. You know what? Perhaps I shall make a series of videos that will give you some sort of clue about fancy things. Yes, that's what I'll do. Something to give you just enough information to
fancy?
bluff your way through a fancy dinner.
Did you know that Dan Vinci
Did you know the Mussolini, the painting, the no, what is it? The Mussolini?
Mona Lisa?
Sorry, I got Italy on my mind at the moment. I don't know why I said Mussolini. Sorry, I was like hot to mind earlier. I still got to go. Did you know that painting only became popular because it was stolen?
Yeah, I actually knew that.
she painted the Mona Lisa?
Because
Somebody
Yuri
had
told
to
me
hold
once.
open the gates for the barbarians. Why not me? So let's do it. Let's look at wine. The Mountain Dew of upper society.
Oh, if you handed me wine and it looked like that, I would not drink it.
Oh,
That's like,
actually,
wine,
there
there
was
is
a
only
YouTuber
one
who
rule.
made Mountain Dew
Kill-
wine.
I saw that, and he should be put in prison. That should not be allowed.
Or be killed.
I'll be killed.
And if you want to survive the night, here are 6 things you should know about wine.
Okay.
No?
To you muggles, the words on these bottles must seem like a mystery.
He called us non-wizards!
I not know ire?
But us landlords...
Wait, what?
Did you hear? He called us muggles, like in Harry Potter.
Oh,
It's like
We,
a cuss
the
word.
pink Himalayan salt of the
fucking
earth,
muggle.
we know
That
what
sounds like
they
a cuss
mean.
word.
They are
It's like how you
grape
call
names.
people in French.
Look upon
Damn,
this
I'm
grapevine.
upset you have a
It
fancy
makes
outfit.
grape berries.
At least it's the
There are
same.
many different species of grape berry. And whatever the berry species is will determine the type of wine. This is Chardonnay, so it will make Chardonnay. Merlot
wine.
grapes, they make Merlot wine. Grape names are mostly French. Gross. But for example, in English, Pinot Noir means black pine, because it kinda looks like a black pine cone, if you
How?
squint.
That's
Here's
killing
some of the other names. You can pause it. I'm busy. Wine grapes are not like the kind you get at the supermarket.
I'm
Those
busy.
are table grapes. You can think of it kind of like the difference between cooking chocolate and regular chocolate. You can eat them.
I fucking kill cooking chocolate on its own. I'm sorry.
Ugh. Well, they're overly sugary.
Don't think I
and
ever
full of
had
seeds, and just not as
chocolate
nice to
with
snack on.
baking
So the
chocolate.
grape type is the main word on the bottle, but
I would say
sometimes
first.
there are other words as well. For example, this Bourgogne. What the hell is a chablis? It's all
Chablis.
regions.
I think it's a type of cup.
Allow me to explain. Through the medium of song.
No.
There's Chianti and Piedmont, and also there's Burgundy. Don't forget Chablis Bordeaux. This one's from Italy, this one's from Italy, this one's from France, this one's from France, this one's from France, this one's from France. They're all from France. We're Italy. Look, the general rule is, if you see a term you don't understand, it's probably just the French or the Italians being all la-dee-da about their particular region. All right, let's move on to price. Come on, I know a place. We're here.
I think I
Tell
like
by the
rock.
name on the sign. Now, don't embarrass
never
me, I didn't bring my
rode a-
ID.
Paris before?
Fiddle TD, look at
No,
all
I
these
have.
bottles. So
Twice.
many options.
Actually,
Yours
two times.
was-
Ooh,
further.
a cheeky
I
$200
know.
bottle. And
Well,
here-
I live in PA. We have in PA we have a religion called Amish. Well, I don't know what religion it's called, but we have a group of people called the Amish, and they don't believe in technology or anything. And my great grandmother used to own a farm that rented the land to Amish people so they could grow corn, and they paid her. And I rode in their carriage a few times.
here.
I want to ride a
a
carriage.
$20 bottle. Now, I bet this
$20.
$200 bottle tastes way better, right? Like it's got to be 10 times better than this one. That's just basic math. Go on, though. You choose one. Oh, no. Well, it was supposed to be a trick question, but they both taste pretty similar, right? There's not some threshold that you get to where it gets more expensive, and then it tastes better, and then more expensive again, and it tastes even better, until it gets so expensive and so incredible that it's like nothing you've ever had before. Break through the condition.
I hate how expensive
This is
wine
just
is. Like, I see the price of
old
wine. I'm
grape
like, why would
juice.
anyone pay that?
Now, if you're a little
most people just
curious
buy
about a
expensive
more
wine,
expensive bottle,
put it in the
sure,
food.
why not?
Gold letters grace the label, hand engraved by goldsmiths. Famed wine critics described the taste as mind-boggling.
But realistically, after about $60, the flavor doesn't get much better. In fact, it plateaus out and it can even go down. The best quality to price ratio is all the way over here, much lower, about $20. That's how
Oh.
much you should spend on a bottle of wine. Now, some people will say,
that I'm putting my heart and soul into this thing. I'm making a form of art. How much is that worth? How much is art worth?
about $20. But what about the Vintage? Whoa, look at this.
Vintage.
A couple of cromulent slender necks. And they're the same price as well. But this one is from 2019, and this one is from 2022. Well, surely the older one is the better one, right? No. Many people think that the wine aging goes like this, and the flavor just keeps getting better over time. Wrong, wrong, wrong! The wine at the store has already been aged at the winery. I don't need to be more aged by sitting on this shelf and just collecting dust, or spending years at the back of your pantry at home. If I'm for sale, I'm ready to be consumed. I'm ready to have your hot lips wrapped around me. In fact, the general rule goes a corked bottle should be drunk within 5 years, and a capped bottle within 1 year.
Oh,
Come, there's more.
I
Let's
think I
pretend
should.
I am
I thought the cap bottle would last longer. I thought because wouldn't it would leak air into it?
Oh no, it's tight.
Okay.
waiter at a restaurant. You
should
happen to be
check.
wearing a shirt.
I was Fanny getting a drink of what you're riding tomorrow.
No.
And so
I
I
would
have
make my
mistaken
parents
you
cry.
as a paying customer. As a waiter, the first thing I will press you about will be food pairings. White wine with fish? A Merlot with pork? Well, kid, I'm gonna have to pair this truth nugget with something you don't want to hear. The food pairing doesn't really matter. It's all completely subjective. It's cuisine by horoscope. It's food astrology. Pay no attention to the sommeliers in the comment section. They are bullshitting to upsell.
Get the more expensive one. It goes better with the spaghetti.
Or they are a Pisces and you shouldn't trust their opinion anyway. Something else to expect at a restaurant?
Oh my god!
Expect to get ripped off by the markup. Most restaurants add a 250 to 300% markup on their wine. And the cheaper the bottle, the higher the proportional markup tends to be. So a $20 bottle will turn into an $80 bottle, but a $100 bottle may only rise to $150. Most people get the second cheapest bottle on the menu, regardless of the pairing, and that'll do just fine. And that's it. No more tips. Unless you
Franny, if we're out to dinner and you buy wine, I will hit you.
want to leave me.
I
Well.
want.
Actually, you know what? I got a fucking tip for you, mate. Ad time.
Oh.
I bet you're wondering how I got this cog in my knee. That's because I became the face of Incogni, the service that helps you be forgotten on the internet. I used to be a humble florist. One day we received a shipment of forget-me-nots. But inexplicably I fell in and ate a bunch of them. I forgot everything that day. My address, my web browsing habits, where I worked, what my child's face looked like. I was supposed to pick him up from daycare, so that was kind of embarrassing. I just picked one of the kids that kind of looks like me.
We will see.
Close enough. Have you ever signed up for some dodgy website? Have you ever dodged up for a legitimate website and they sell all your details onto a dodgy website? That's where I come in. Incogni man and a nunna boy. There are data miners out there, data collectors, creating big servers all around the world. They take your name, your address, and your IP, and together they make a big profile, and that lives forever. I am here to send them annoying legal notices to tell them to fuck off. Take Steve off your database. European law this, American law that. Go to incogni.com/internet-story to get 60% off an annual plan. The cog signal. I swoop into the data centers. Legal notice. Tangle up their processes with admin. Who are you? I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Inganokni Nam. Go to incogni.com/internet-historian. Ah, Incogni man. Remember me? Yes. No. Who's the kid?
Je suis très affamé, monsieur, s'il vous plaît.
Whoa, that's a good deal. Ad over. Welcome to the Wine Underground. We have our meetings here because it stays at a very pleasant temperature. You know, us wine masons, we control everything. We are few, but many. That doesn't make sense. Look at the back of this bottle. See the No Fat Chicks logo? We put that there. It is the symbol of our organization.
No fat, sure.
We have a dirty finger in every glass of government and corporation stuff. If you cross us, oops, perhaps you'll have a little accident. Last year, Little Upstart tried to make wine actually taste good. You know, like how grape soda does. Cut him up so good he had to get stickers. We caught one reporter trying to...
We beat grape soda. Oh yeah, it's...
I've never seen a grape soda.
I was gonna say,
before.
yeah, when I was in Germany, I didn't see any grape soda. You're right. Now that I think about it.
I only had grape juice.
We all know how that one
Good
ended.
baby.
With an airstrike. All right, my little juice.
Bro, I acted like
I'm
it
going
was
to let
wine
you
back
in on
then.
a secret. Why is
I'm so
champagne
fancy.
called champagne? Well, I'll tell you.
I am
It
used to
all
glass
began
wine.
in 1668. In the Abbey of St. Peter in northeast France, there's something spooky going on.
Okay.
It's springtime, and in the cellar where they keep all the wine, bottles would suddenly, unexpectedly, explode.
Explode.
Now, this was
Yeah.
especially common during morning mass. Ho ho, that's a bad omen. Sometimes the explosions would cause little chain reactions, and bottle after bottle would break down the line, ruining the majority of the crop. The peasants were frightened and also parched.
Sacre Bleu, lay wine. What is happening?
The monks would refer to this as the devil's wine.
Le wine is cursed.
Le God, he must be angry at us. We need a hero.
In walks Dom Perignon. He is just the man for the job. A Benedictine monk at the abbey, he's got a new role, the cellar master. And it's his mission to find out what the hell is going on here. So Dom starts looking at all the bottles. And what he figures out pretty quickly is that the wine itself is releasing gas. The gas builds up pressure, and why that is happening, he doesn't know. But it's his job to stop it. So he gets to work, trying all sorts of things to stop his mortal enemy. The bubbles. In the first year, he tried insisting that only the youngest grapes be picked.
Perhaps this will stop your bubbles.
And it didn't.
Why did he
The
use a
next year,
German
he
accent?
changed up how the grapes were pressed.
Push harder, we'll squeeze out the bubbles.
Son of a bitch. He tried picking the...
Well, if you really think about it, when a German speaks English and a French speaks English, it almost sounds like the same accent. I'm sorry.
Does it? No.
Very early in the morning and no other time. Nope. And on and on. The bubbles would win the battle every year. For 8 long years, he tried all sorts of different things.
Oh.
And no strategy worked. No, the bubbles. Eventually, he was at the point of almost giving up. Until one day, hey, what if the wine is still fermenting? So he takes a couple of the bottles and he opens them and, it is. We ferment the wine. Once it's done, it goes into the bottle. How does it then start fermenting again? How is that possible? And here the mystery was solved. So it turns out, in North France, they have very fast-changing seasons. And owing to that, the yeast doesn't actually get time to do its job. Instead, it would get cold very quickly in the winter, and all the yeast would go dormant. Then the winemakers would go, oh, brilliant, fermentation slowed down, it must be done. They would then bottle it, and they would store it. But once summer came back around, the process would spring back to life, and carbon dioxide would build up, and... Okay, he thinks, I cannot change the climate. Perhaps I shall not win the war against the bubbles. Now, the bubbles are his enemy, and he has another
You love the
enemy.
bubbles. It's your favorite thing.
The English. Therefore, the enemy of his enemy or
I'm German
something.
after all.
Anyway, he
I'm
starts
fancy
talking to
enough
the
to
English,
drink
and he goes,
sparkling
hey, how do
water.
you guys stop your bottles from
Daily basis.
exploding? And the British go,
You what, mate? Cool. We'll peep at how thin the bloody glass be in it. Thin glass is the problem. Thank you for using this test-to-speech preview. For a paid version, please go to...
See, the English have created new coal-fired bottles with much thicker glass. Then they put a cork in the top, and it allows them to make very foamy beer. That's right, he could just use thicker bottles and he won't have to worry about stopping the bubbles at all. So Dom goes running back to France. He's panting, he's sweating, and there's bits of brie on his shirt. He's going, better bottles, better bottles. Everyone's confused and terrified, but they give it a shot. And there it was. The people of France loved it.
I love this new style.
Even the French royals were enjoying
I can hear you
new
cringing
wine
inside.
TM. He even started adding extra yeast and sugar to really get the bubbles going. And so Dom Perignon had created what we call today champagne. Now, there's a 19th century marketing campaign that says the moment he uncorked his champagne for the first time, he tried it and said, come quickly, I am tasting the stars. But that's actually a myth. He never really said that. But there's still a problem. And this one, Dom cannot fix. The pulp. If you bottle wine while it's still fermenting, so that you can keep the bubbles in, you're also trapping in a bunch of dead yeast and debris and gross particles too. Also, it's all cloudy.
I say more
No,
protein.
no, we want it clear. We want it crystal looking. How will we ever solve this problem? Dom dies.
What?
1805. In walks Madame Clicquot. She's just the man for the job.
I'm also French. I have come to remove all the little beats. I will clench my teeth together and go pitu-pitu back into the bottle.
Now, Madame Clicquot was a very shrewd lady. Her husband died when she was in her early 20s.
My husband is dead. Lol.
And part of the estate she was bequeathed included a winery. She immediately got to work, making it into a successful business.
I shall invent a process called lay riddling.
Here's what you do, right? You put these bottles on a rack at a 35-degree angle with the top facing down. Every 2 days, she would give the bottle a little shake and slightly increase the angle. After 8 to 10 weeks, all of the sediment would come to rest in the neck of the bottle. All right, quick tangent. Did you know that when you increase the salt concentration in water, you can drop its temperature down much lower without it freezing?
Yes.
Tangent over. So she takes this sub-zero salt water and dips the neck of the bottle in there, then lets it sit until the neck freezes. Now you have a sort of frozen cork filled with all of the gross pulp, and then you simply pop off the top. And the whole thing goes shooting out as a fun prank for your friends and family. Then they add in a little more extra base wine and sugar and leave it to age. And with that, Clicquot has just created a clear, sparkling wine. And that is Ridley. And Madame Clicquot is...
The Riddler.
So Dom Perignon and Madame Clicquot are both credited as the godfather and godmother of champagne. Today, the Dom and Clique brands are owned by LVMH, the same parent company that owns Louis Vuitton, Tag Heuer, Tiffany & Co., Hennessy. Actually, pretty much every luxury brand. But why is it called champagne? Well, that's because it comes from the Champagne region, you dummy. And anything else with bubbles is just sparkling wine.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh, it's you. I was just looking out over the sunset. You know how it is. Thinking about stuff that happened in the past. I remember it all too well. It was literally 1984. I was walking home with my parents from the opera.
Oh my god.
We're nearly there.
Hey, let's take a little shortcut, they said.
Batman.
We can cut through here.
We were walking down a well-lit alleyway. It was nothing but quaint restaurants and bistros. Then suddenly, a man holding a bottle of Shiraz came out of nowhere.
It's like a type of restaurant.
Just to
tells
tipple
me,
he said. I was terrified. I knew nothing about wine. Go on,
You're
he
German.
said. My hands were shaking, knees weak, arms heavy.
Oh my god.
Complex aroma, wouldn't you say? Ooh. Very good tannins. Oh, really? Yep.
I hate people drink
What's a
wine,
tannin?
just sit there and swallow it in their cup.
don't
Then look
know.
at it, then smell it.
My parents died from embarrassment right there on the spot.
Dr. Cringe.
Just a tipple. It's too late for me, but I don't want the same thing to happen to you. That's why we have to learn about how to serve wine.
Oh god.
So you've bought a bottle of wine to show your friends and family how successful and sophisticated
Yeah, I'm
you
listening.
are. Did you know that Da Vinci painted
I'm gonna
the
serve
Mona
you
Lisa?
wine soon.
So let's go through how to serve the big three. White, red, and champagne. Let's say you've bought champagne.
Oh no.
That bottle goes in the fridge. Champagne is served cold always. To open, peel off the
I'm
foil
only gonna serve
and do not
champagne
aim it at your
warm now.
face. Then twist off the metal thing. If you
Oh, I
want
hate
people to
this
think you're
part.
fancy, use the proper word, muselette.
Muselé.
It helps to contain the pressure.
Easily.
Again, don't aim this thing at your face. It's really worth repeating. The PSI inside a champagne bottle is 70 to 90. That puts it in the same league as a nail gun. So the cork comes out at about 50 miles an hour. And if you're in a house, you want to hold onto it very firmly with your hand.
Oh, I once
If you're
forgot
Bezos,
that.
or you just won the Grand Prix, fling it over some ladies. But if you want to be really fancy, you can use a sword. For think, This has been a tradition for a couple hundred years, popularized by Napoleon. After each victory, the army would use their sabers to crack one open for the boys. But the sword's just ceremonial. You can use pretty much any blunt object to knock off the top. A phone, a shoe, this fish head. If it's cold, it shouldn't fizz over too much, but you might want to have someone on the side with a ready glass. The glass type should either be a tulip or a flute. Although, if you've seen The Great Gatsby, you may notice that they use these. Up until the mid-1900s, people used coupes. That's because, back in the day, excessive effervescence wasn't very cool. So these cups helped actually dispel the bubbles faster. In fact, sometimes they'd even use a small whisk or a fork to dissipate all the bubbles. Now, there's actually an old myth that the shape and size of the coupe was moulded from one of Marie Antoinette's buboes. But it's probably not true. Eventually, bubbles became a fancy feature, so the flute was adopted. They can be made from glass, but preferably they're made from crystal, so that they shimmer as much as possible. And the best flutes would also feature a small rough spot right there at the center of the glass at the bottom to create a sort of tornado of bubbles. Anyway, as you pour, tilt sideways so it isn't all head, and don't pour more than 2/3 full. Done. White wine.
This is the most
White wine
useless
is
info
best
I've ever
served
gonna learn.
chilled too. 10 to 15 degrees though, not
We must
French
be
cold.
around if it's useless.
Use a small glass bowl
I'm not
and pour to
drinking
about
champagne.
half full.
Look
And
like
when
a
you drink,
dick.
do a little sniff test, and you know,
It's
aerate it a bit.
fancy.
Then hold it
come
down
from the
low on the
French.
stem so your hands don't heat up the liquid. If it's not to your taste, cut it with 50% Sprite and add a few ice cubes. Done. Reds. Red wine is not chilled. It is served at room temperature. When you first open it, you're supposed to let it sit for a while to oxidize. That gives it more flavor. Although if you don't want to wait, you can just pour it into a decanter. That does the same thing.
What?
To drink from, we want a big bowl on a stick, so you get a full face of the aromas of the grape blood.
Like,
When you pour the thing,
who wants to
fill
get a
it about
drink so they can smell
1/3
the
full.
shit out of it?
That's pretty much
Oh,
it.
look at this.
I don't know.
When it
smell
comes
the
to wine
lilacs, the-
snobbery,
the grape.
red wine snobbery is at the top of the Maslow hierarchy.
Crushed white rock. It's like almost like a rock quarry.
Oh my god, shut up. And there's a taste testing thing that people do, and they all go a bit mental, and it's kind of gross, and it looks dumb. But if you think you're ready for the ultimate test, ready to take the one-chip challenge of enology, then here's how you do it. When the waiter comes over, insist on taking a teensy sample. Inspect for color, clarity, and legs. Legs refers to how viscous the wine is. Smell it. Smells like a red wine. Swirl it around on the table, making a loud scratching noise so that everyone knows you're a connoisseur.
Swirling the wine glass is almost like turning up the volume on the stereo.
When you taste it, you're supposed to get it over every part of your mouth, so that when you brush your teeth later, it's awful. Then take in big sips of air. This is where you comment on the texture and taste. Complex notes! You yell across the room. Now this is the best part. You can just make shit up about vanilla smatterings or citrusy undercurrents. I swear, there's a hint of blueberry. It's one of those things that's kinda true, but subjective enough that no one can really refute you. So make a big show of it.
There is a little bit of an earthiness, almost a graphite clay note to this.
It's a little bit meaty. It's a little bit sort of rusty.
There are definitely hints here of monster.
I'm
Damn,
glad
this
that I'm
mead wine is just.
I'm
it's just
never drinking
different.
wine now. Fuck that shit. These people are crazy.
Ultra sugar-free.
At least
If this is a taste test,
You don't
and
even
you-
like it.
a sweet one
What?
at my parents' house. I can drink the rest.
sampling dozens of wines. You want to spit
Why
out
did
the
you turn
sample
French?
into this gross bucket
Why
so
the
you don't
French,
get too
clearly.
drunk. Do
Only
not
French
ask
people
the
can
waiter
make something this fucking crazy.
if you can drink from the bucket. It's the waiter's privilege, and he's very protective of it. And that is how to serve his privilege. Do not ask the waiter if you can drink from the bucket. It's the waiter's privilege, and he's very protective of
They
it.
want the spit bucket.
And that is how to serve.
Wait!
Oh.
Whoops! I'm sorry, did not mean to do that.
Oh!
I misclicked the key.
Rusty.
There are definitely hints here of
I just
Monster
want to know
Ultra sugar-free.
who drinks
If
wine,
this is a taste test,
not
and
drink
you're
it,
sampling
and spits
dozens
it
of
in the
wines,
bucket.
you want to spit out the sample into this gross bucket so you don't get too drunk. Do not ask the waiter if you can drink from the bucket. It's the waiter's privilege, and he's very protective of it. And that is how to serve wine. Okay, that's a lot of shitting on wine, people.
And we shouldn't get bullied.
But let me do a quick 180. Because overall, wine is good. And a little wine snobbery can be good also.
No.
Being into wine is one of the great dad hobbies. One day you will have a model train set in your basement, complete with a little...
I feel like wine is more like a woman's thing, I'm sorry. Wine is more like I am a housewife, my husband's never home, I have 3 kids, and I'm trying to get away for a second.
My father is the wine drinker in this house.
Oh. Well, I think he's just a drinker in general.
Walking path in the grass, just right.
I can't
The best part about this hobby is
Something like
building
that.
the thing, getting it just perfect, and then
over there.
making people sit there while you explain the little trains in excruciating detail of how they work. Now, the fun of Warhammer, that's when you save up for the little space marine man, you take him out of the packet, you put on a podcast with some Warhammer in the background,
Of all the Primarchs, Horus is the best kisser.
and you slowly paint it yourself. And then you argue with your mates later about why the Necrophiles are the best race. There are people that spend like tens of thousands of dollars on coffee machines and equipment.
Yes.
And then it takes like an hour to make a coffee, and it's like only 5% better, maybe, than the ones you get at the cafe. Now, I could be Mr. Killjoy and come in and go, what's the point of that? Why not just buy it from the cafe? Why not just get a pre-painted Space Marine? Why not have someone else just install the train set? But then there's no ceremony, there's no fun, there's no hobby. Wine is very similar.
No. You can't compare actual hobbies to wine drinking. It just sounds like a way alcoholics can do something.
Too obsessive about the thing. And being like...
Some lemon zest as well, lemon pith. Super tangy.
Is the purpose of wine. It's the fun of wine. Which is why wine is better than just some old grape juice. And you fucking wine...
No, grape juice is better!
You know what? You're old.
And I bet even grape soda. You want to try it?
And that's about it.
Grape juice.
There's just one last thing left. The practical. Come on, my little nouveau beef.
How to make
I booked down the
water
whole
already
restaurant.
amazing.
They serve some of the best blue whale
What can it
caviar.
do with grape juice?
All right, you did it. You sat through the whole video without crying. I think this calls for a toast. Steady now. Whoop. Uh-oh. I can't believe you killed again. But it's okay. I feel like we're becoming close friends who can keep secrets and stuff. And because we're such close friends, I'm going to keep teaching you things. That's right. You're going to be just like me. I just cannot tell which of this is blood and which wine. By the way, this is the second video. If you haven't seen the first one, which is on Fancy at the Theatre, go look at